right, my name is Angelo Desando, president and owner of Desando Insurance Services. We are a second generation independent insurance brokerage. First founded in 1978 by my father. We first started as a farmer's agent, which is a captive agent, and then 2010 is when I moved over to the independent side. Difference between a captive and an independent is the independent gives a variety of markets that the clients can choose from, versus a captive usually has one product or one market that they can offer. Changing to that transition made it better for me to present better deals for my clients. Our hit ratio went up a lot higher, and then also my expertise was a lot broadened because of that. Normally we were doing mostly personal lines. Now I've stepped away from that and we're strictly doing commercial lines, which is my main focus. On the commercial lines, we offer pretty much anything when it comes to insurance for a business owner besides any type of group benefits we do not do, or any type of life insurance or 401k benefits we do not do. Other than that, we can handle anything from workers' comp, general liability, commercial auto, property, bonds, professional liability, and commercial auto. EPLI is another big one, employer's practice liability insurance. That is a precedent coverage. I feel like in the last couple of years, you have these attorneys that are going around suing business owners for not being ADA compliant for the handicap compliance. And this is where coverage would come in underneath the third-party coverage and defend for the lawsuits in regards to that. So I feel like that's a really big key coverage that's been increasing over the last couple of years. Best usually way to refer me on a business though is on the workers' comp side. This is really where I can show how we're different. We have a in-house claims management unit that we manage all of our workers' comp claims from start to finish. Basically what happens is employee gets injured, we get notified from the employer and we're turning in a workers' comp claim. We then get in touch with the claims adjuster and we touch base with them usually every 2 to 3 weeks to try to make sure that the employees get to the doctors on time. He's not just sitting on disability. We work with our clients to get them on mod duty, modified duty, meaning that we try to get the employee back to work as soon as possible so they're not just basically sitting home on disability and the workers' comp covering those costs. We also do projection of experience modification factors. Basically what this is once a business owner meets a certain threshold with the WCRB, which is the Workers' Comp Rating Bureau of California, they will then qualify for an experience rating modifier. And this is going to be the major rating factor on their workers' comp. So with the way workers' comp is calculated is based off of a rate per 100 in payroll times the modifier. So if a company is giving a rate of, let's say, $20 for, let's say, construction classification, maybe it's carpentry, you have $100 in payroll, that's going to be basically $20 for every $100 in payroll times the modifier. So reason why I stress on this so much is because, especially in the construction industry, a modifier can put a company out of business or change the way a company really operates. If you have maybe 1 or 2 years of bad claims, and then your mod goes up, 30 or 40%, then you're basically going to be getting a huge surcharge on your workers' comp. So I've seen times where 1 year a contractor's in business, the next year due to claims he's out of business because he can't afford the workers' comp. Thus he maybe subs everything out, or then you try to utilize a staffing company to fulfill the needs of the business. So what we do is we do projection of the future modifications. So the way the modifications are done, there's up to an 18-month delay on the publications between when a claim is filed and when a claim is closed. So what we'll do is, based off of payroll history, we will estimate an estimated modifier. Maybe 2 years ago, the client had a claim or two, and then about a year ago, he hasn't had any claims. You think, oh, I haven't had any claims, my rate should be going down, but it's actually based off of the second prior year. So we educate them on that. We take the payroll data. We have a tool that the Workers' Comp Rating Bureau uses as well. We implement those numbers, and then it generates a estimated X mod. And usually I'm within 4 to 5 points on average, so they can really have a estimate. Well, yeah, your rate's going down because your X mod went down, but due to claims in the past, your X mod's going to be going up, and this is what you can be looking at. So instead of maybe buying a new piece of equipment or hiring more guys, you can think, oh man, my rate's going to go up. You know, I got to pay another $20,000 or $30,000 next year, and it's going to happen because that's a rate through the WCRB. Now, the only way that does not happen is if a company goes self-insured, which is another option I offer for different industries. And thus, what happens is you lose your X mod altogether. So this is could be benefit for some clients. Some clients like it because they don't like the ups and downs of basically what they call as a roller coaster ride, and they go with the self-insured option. Another option I offer on the workers' comp that makes me kind of unique is a 25% refund program, which basically the company pays you profit sharing. So every time you process your payroll and you pay your workers' comp premium, 25% of that is going to go into what they call a safety account. Now, if you have claims, they're going to pull from that account first. But if there's any money left in the account at the end of the policy period, it's refunded back to the business owner as tax-free. So recent success story, I have a GC, he's a pretty decent size general contractor, and he just contacted me last week saying he got a $50,000 refund, which is huge. And they also do claims management and all the other HR and payroll, and it's a really encompassing program. Another coverage I want to talk about is on the, for commercial properties, the building ordinance of law. This is a key coverage I see missed on most of the stuff I look at. Basically, this is going to cover for the demolition costs, also the increased cost of construction. So city codes are always changing, the cost of construction is always changing. So this building ordinance of law is going to come in and cover that coverage. The other coverage is on the commercial auto. A lot of business owners don't understand the hired and non-owned auto coverage portion. Basically, the hired auto is any vehicle that's going to be rented by the business for company use, and the non-owned auto would be any vehicle that is being used on company time that's not owned by the company. Perfect example would be a employee that's using his personal vehicle while running an errand. Maybe it's an staff office person, a clerical, and they're just running to the bank to go make a deposit. They get involved in an accident. They don't understand that the lawyers are going to go after the bigger pockets. So they could potentially, basically, the business owner is on the hook for the liability of that. The injury would be falling under the workers' comp portion, but the actual liability to a third party would be falling underneath the higher or the non-owned auto portion. Question? Yeah.
So is this for, like, if the employee is going to the bank for his own business, is that the situation, or are you talking about where the employee is going to the bank for the business's business?
Correct, the second one. So basically, you have a business owner that has employees, and the employee is running an errand while on company time for the business owner. Okay. So that would where the non-owned auto, or any type of, in construction, it's huge. I mean, you got a lot of contractors that don't have commercial auto, and they have their field guys out there just going from job site to job site, carrying their own materials and stuff like that. A lot of people don't understand that he's technically working for the company, and since he's on company time, if there is an auto claim, we're talking about a major bodily injury. If it's a little small fender bender, they're going to pay out, there's going to be no problem. It's when the attorneys get involved and they actually say, oh, he was working for X, Y, and Z company, and they're $5 million company, let's go after them. So they would be tied in a lawsuit as well. Any other questions why anyone else is? Okay, perfect, moving on. Some of the key industries that I focus on, construction. This is one industry I find myself as being kind of an expert in. Majority of my book of business is in contractors. The auto body and mechanics, I like writing this just because I enjoy that type of industry. Plus on the workers' comp side, there's like 3 big players that focus on workers' comp, and they're usually always the top 3. So I usually can just talk to the business owner in a 5-minute phone call and determine if I can save them money or not just by a phone call. So and that goes along with restaurants as well. Same goes with that. There's a couple players in the restaurant industry, which we have access to all of them. Apartment complexes and strip malls and shopping centers and hotel motels. This is something I'm really focusing on this year. I'm trying to write more commercial property. And then the home healthcare industry. This is an industry that's continuously booming due to all the baby boomers. We see a lot of people opening up home healthcare companies or also home healthcare companies expanding like crazy over the last couple of years. Thus, with expansion, you're going to have more employees you're hiring, thus workers' comp costs are going to be going up as well. So I would love to be introduced to any of those. Manufacturing and distribution companies. On the distribution side, we have a commercial auto fleet program that we can come in and help personalize for the business owner. We also do MVR checks for our clients. Usually on a quarterly basis, there's a form that each employee would sign authorizing us to release that data to an employer. A lot of times employers don't run their motor vehicle reports for their employees, which sometimes somebody can get suspended license within a policy term, and thus if we're running it on a quarterly basis, we try to catch that. Staffing companies is another industry that I pride myself on being an expert on. Staffing companies is huge on the workers' comp because their major focus is basically just hiring employees as much as possible. They're making a margin over everyone that they can place for different types of industries. So the workers' comp claims tend to be a lot higher than usually other industries because they're not really, they are the owner of that employee, but once they go to the field, they're not there basically supervising. It's actually their client that's supervising the employee. So it's kind of hard to tell, when stuff happens and whatnot. So I see a lot more claims on the staffing side than any other industry. Developers is another one I'm focusing on again this year. We just recently wrote a development project in Milpitas. It's a condominium development. And so we're handling the builder's risk portion, which is basically going to cover for if any damage happens to the building while the course of construction is going on. The insurance company's going to come in and make them whole on that. And then we also wrote, this was an owner control program, meaning the owner owned the land and hired a GC to do the build. So what we wrote is an OSIP policy on this, and that's going to provide the liability portion. On these big development projects, they do an OSIP or a CSIP policy for the liability portion because they know that there's going to be liability, and then everyone else, all the artisans and stuff, have to then sign up for the program. There could be a time where you're doing a small project and a GC hires an artisan, and then all of a sudden the artisan's insurance lapses during the course of the build. With a OSIP, that wouldn't happen because the OSIP is actually the one providing the liability portion. Some of the questions you can ask business owners when referring me, basically if they're not happy with the workers' comp rates, I would love to chat with them. We don't offer any fees to consult with them. I get paid by the insurance company, not my clients. So if the deal is landed, that's how we get paid. We don't pay any fees to review. And if they're not offering a 25% refund program on the workers' comp, this would be a really big talking point because it's just one of the aspects I do, but I do get myself in the door a lot because business owners love to get money back. I mean, if you're paying premiums and then all of a sudden, oh, I've been paying premiums for years and years and I'm not getting any money back, well, we can offer a program that you can. If your policy hasn't been renewed reviewed in the last 2 years, usually it should be reviewed. I mean, if you have a small little business, and your premiums are like $1,000 or under, I would say under $5,000, unless something major happens in your business, it's pretty much self-sustaining. But if you're in a business that you're adding more employees, you're buying more equipment, you're expanding, you should definitely be reviewing that on an annual basis. And then one of the other things that we do is creating a bidding war. So if your current people you talk with, oh, my agent just brings me one quote, we present multiple quotes. So what I love doing, probably more than anything, is getting insurance companies fighting for a client. Usually it goes around what we call as a 3-round program, meaning basically the first round is we go out to bid. Second is we get the quotes in, then we start sharing the quotes amongst other carriers. Maybe you have carrier A, B, and C. Carrier A and B are the most competitive right now, and then we share those quotes with carrier C to try to get them up. A lot of times insurance companies won't make any moves on rates unless they can see a competitor's bid. So this is why I always say it's most important to have one representative broker that's going to be representing all the markets for you, because then we're able to share all the data with the different insurance companies to make sure we're getting the best price.
5 minutes.
Okay, excellent. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So I've been doing this now for, going on almost 13 years. I was lucky to start at a very young age, and it's the only job I've ever had. The biggest thing, I guess, for me is my integrity. Kind of give you an example of this, working for my client at the insurance companies. We had a masonry contractor that I've had for several years, trusted. I know no one else was coming in to bid my client's workers' comp renewal, and I found a company that was significantly less than his current company we had him with. And I was looking to move him, and the current company came back to me and said, hey, if you end up keeping him with us, we'll even give you another 2 or 3% commission. But I knew it was the right thing to do to move it, and so I also explained that to my client. Hey, I'm taking a 5%, 6% commission reduction to move you over to a self-insured solution, which is going to be a better rate for you this year. So it's just basically always doing right by my clients, because I believe in karma. What comes around goes around. So if I do right by my clients, they're going to do right by me and hopefully refer me. It's usually about 95% of my business has been on referral, which I'm very grateful for. So we just continue with that mindset and continue to grow that way. Yeah.
So how can we best support you? You got a website for testimonials and stuff?
We have a website, but it doesn't do testimonials. I mean, I do get testimonials from my clients. I'll type out a testimonial, have them review it, have them sign it, and then when going out bidding and stuff, I say, okay, you're in this type of industry. Well, I have 3 or 4 testimonials for someone in a similar industry, and this is kind of what we've done for them. So I usually present those testimonials to my clients that way. I feel like that's kind of more of a traction. I'm usually always face-to-face with these business owners. I normally don't do deals over the phone. I can go anywhere in California. I can even go out of state. I'm licensed in 6 or 7 different states. So need be, I can jump on an airplane and fly there, but it has to also make sense to do so.
Question?
Yeah.
So do people find you on the internet? Would Yelp reviews help you with that?
Typically my best clients aren't going to find me on the web. Usually it's going to be referral. I'm not looking to insure everyone. I'm very selective on who I want. I'm looking for the bigger players. For me, insuring a company that has 50 or 100 employees is going to be almost the same footwork if the guy only had 5 or 10. Yeah, if there's claims, there's going to be more work that my staff's going to have to do, but you're basically just adding, more zeros on an application. The loss control goes in, it's a little bit more in depth, but we try to focus on the little larger. I usually say 10 or more employees, but the more the merrier. We have clients that have over 1,000 employees, so they're doing 30, 40 million a year. So it just all depends, on industry as well. Some industries, there's going to have a lot more employees to get that higher gross sales, versus some don't need that many employees. So it just all depends.
Do you do cyber insurance?
Yes, we can handle the cyber insurance. That's another thing that's kind of been crazy.
It's a new thing,
yeah.
and I've seen a number of claims in the last 2 years, or situations where I wish the client had cyber insurance, or
yeah, and a lot of times too, it's like on what we call BOP, business owner's policy. We can throw cyber on there for very minimal premium. It's going to give some coverage, but usually the people that are looking for the big cyber stuff is going to be people that are keeping social security numbers, credit card info of their customers. We've also had maybe some contractors that use a special software for bidding purposes, and if they were to get hacked and get locked out of that software and they weren't able to then run their business, that would be another thing. But usually contractors are always thinking about, okay, GL first, and then maybe contractor's professional liability would be a second, and then pollution liability would be a third, and cyber is like way over down here. So usually it's tech companies that really
it depends on the industry.
Yeah, usually it's the tech companies. I see a lot taking that, but on small BOP policies we can throw it on there almost for free. So
Good to know.
yeah. Question.
So we're coming up on the last part of our a lease that we're trying to get. So we're leasing commercial property, and on the lease there's a bunch of, you have to be insured for this, and there's bonds, this, and this. Is that something that you guys do, because it says commercial property and bonds?
Yeah.
But I'm not the owner, I'm just leasing the property.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we will review the lease and make sure your insurance is compliant with the lease. A lot of times what happens is the property owner is going to be like, okay, send us over a certificate of insurance, right? You send it over, it's going to show, okay, you have general liability, you have maybe property. But the thing is the fine print, what's actually included on that policy. Like if they wanted earthquake, sprinkler, leakage coverage and you didn't do that, or they want business income, meaning that, for some reason the place catches fire, but you have a 3-year lease, you still have to pay them even though you have no building. They're rebuilding it for 12 months, 18 months. The business income is going to pay for that. So yeah, we can review that and make sure that you are within the guidelines.
So the process is, the first step is send you the lease.
Correct. Yeah, that would be have me review the lease and then say, okay, they are saying that you need this, this, and this. So. You have a question?
Yeah. Do you work with clients in the cannabis industry at all?
Yes. So that's another industry that's kind of crazy right now, and there is a select handful of companies that have been seeing the rewards of trying to insure these people. So it is still kind of a closed market for a lot of companies, but we do have access to both liability and workers' comp companies. I mean, they go from just doing the liability to also insuring the product. So it kind of gets in depth what they can handle, but there are some key players that we have access to that can cover that. So.
Okay. I think getting in with Callie and the company that I'm working at, maybe, I don't know if they've already have someone, but I know that he's kind of running the whole operations on that, so maybe I can ask him if connecting you with him and his client could be helpful for what they may need.
Yeah, and the thing is the higher the risk, the better I love it, because it's more of a challenge. Usually when it's more riskier, the business owner actually, okay, I really need this insurance, I'm running a crazy type of business, and those are the people that usually care a lot more about their insurance.
Right.
And the more risk, the more premium, the more I get paid. So I just, I love risk,
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, last
Ramon?
question.
Yes, so you mentioned that obviously the bigger companies with more employees is what you prefer to do, but what is the minimum you'll take? So where would you start at with employees, and where would you start at with the size of a commercial, say, apartment building?
So employees, I usually try to stay around 10 or above.
10 or above.
And then on a commercial building, anything really on commercial building, because commercial building is kind of like writing a homeowner's policy.
Well, yeah, so commercial starts as a fiveplex.
Yeah,
right?
so
4plex
5 units
is still,
or five
so
units
you'll
or
do
plus.
5 or more.
Yeah, 5 units or more. That's for kind of residential. Commercial side, you have a commercial office building or industrial building or a retail strip mall. Any size of that, it doesn't matter. Okay. Anything like that would be a great referral. Okay. So, excellent. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay.